my first guest today. He's creator of a little baseball themed game. I'm excited to have him here to explain and talk about it. As everyone, please welcome Ian Brook. Hi, Ian. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
So, Ian, before we get into it, do you just want to take a quick moment and briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ian Brook, originally from New York. Now I'm in Florida. Created this game, On Deck Baseball, as pretty much a hobby, and it just kind of took off from there.
So this game's called On Deck Baseball. Could you explain and describe what it's all about?
Sure. On Deck Baseball is a tabletop cards and dice game. Kind of gets away from the whole video game type of thing that in the modern day is in now. A little bit more classic style of playing from like the 80s and stuff that I kind of grew up with. Like I said, it's a cards and dice tabletop game. It deals with a fictional universe, so it gets away from the typical replay value of these games. Something that the user can actually dive into and control their own universe.
So, what would you say, what inspired you to create this game?
Well, kind of really started out the very beginning. I started playing games like Stratomatic, which is probably the most popular of these types of games. And from very early on, when I was a kid, probably 8, 10 years old, I would play with my friends. And we never really stuck with the same teams that kind of came with the game. We always either draft our own teams from the players, or we even kind of started making our own players. And that's kind of where it all kind of started from. So in that, like creating a fictional universe has kind of just evolved through time, and eventually became, the On Deck Baseball kind of roster of players that we have. I don't know that a lot of the players started out early on. I think a lot of the names have changed probably over the course of 30 years, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But it still has kind of stayed the same as its own kind of universe, and doesn't really matter what happens in real life. So you're not looking for like, a Mike Trout and what he did that during the course of the year to affect the card. All the stats and everything are based on the potential of the player on that card.
So, what was the process like of turning this game from an idea into an actual game?
So when I first moved down to Florida, um, it really, like I said, it started out as a hobby. So it kind of started out like tinkering. I thought about like different ways that I could make a game, just something that I could kind of hold my own attention with and maybe a couple of friends play. And I wanted to kind of deviate from the standard of a lot of the other games are just numbers on a card. And I wanted to be able to connect with the players, especially since it was a fictional universe and it wasn't something that you're going to see players from the MLB. And so you're not going to really know what this player is capable of doing unless you see like something on a card that describes his potential. From there, I built out the universe and then tried to find certain mechanics that would work in a way that you could almost see the results on the card. And also, I hated external charts. If you look, a lot of these games have like 15 external charts you have to read off of to get a result. In On Deck Baseball, most of the charts and everything are on the back of the card, so you don't really have that many external results that you have to look to complete a play. I would say probably 98% of the game is actually played off of the cards themselves. But yeah, it started out that way and just kind of evolved through. A buddy of mine and I started a league, and we kind of tinkered it from there. I would say that the final version that actually made it to market is probably the third or fourth version of the game. Every time we started out playing, we kind of made notes, and if we wanted to add something to the game, we kind of added it in, or we fine-tuned something, whether it's double plays or the tagging up mechanic, or even how you build out teams using the budget or anything like that. It all kind of evolved over, several years. I'd say I've probably been working on this particular game for probably close to 10 or 12 years. So it's really just an evolution over a course of time.
Okay. And then, did you face any challenges along the way while doing this?
Um, as far as like the development of the game, I would say that the challenges were just trying to fine tune the mechanics to work out to what would represent how the game is played in real life. So without representing the players, you still wanted to retain the actual main functions of baseball. And it was fine tuning the mechanics in that and representing them on the card to be able to have like a nice flow to the gameplay. So that was probably the biggest challenge in the development. Once I took it to market, the biggest challenge from there was convincing people that it's a different thing to having a replay game going into a fictional universe. A lot of the users of the game started out as the classic replay type players. They want to go in, they want to get the MLB teams, they want to stock their teams, and they kind of want to compare their results to what happened during the course of the MLB season. This obviously takes a way different route and is completely fictional. So you're getting results without having to have a comparison to the actual experience of a player in the MLB. And convincing people to do that has probably been the most challenging part. I would say I've converted quite a bit of replay players, I guess if you want to call them that. And they really kind of get connected with the players and make their own universe, and they found that it's actually pretty rewarding being able to do that.
I know I find it incredibly fascinating to talk to you, get the chance to talk to you, to be a game, I will call it a game inventor. But what are your personal thoughts on creating this game? Like, what does it feel to be like a person that has created some type of tabletop game?
I mean, it's great. I mean, like I said, it started out as a hobby, and I actually had to be convinced to bring it to market because I didn't really know if people would like it. And you're putting yourself out there and putting out a product, and it could be taken a certain way, and you may never want to bring something. You get worried about
Right,
something like that.
right.
So being the so-called inventor of the game is kind of it's a term that I had to get used to because it wasn't something that really was supposed to kind of go that route. But once I got into market and the reception to it has been, almost entirely positive, has been something very exciting. I've never expected it. I never expected it to sell like it's been selling. To have people leave, great reviews about it, saying that it's a unique and simple engine that gets the job done, which is something I always wanted to be. I wanted to be an easy game to play that you could dive right into without a huge learning curve. And, because it is so different from a lot of the other games that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
it took some getting used to for some people to take some chances on it, and they have, and it's been great.
So, what was the process like of bringing this game to the market? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Did you face any challenges along the way with it?
I would say it was mostly trial and error more than anything. I didn't do Kickstarter, which is, what a lot of people suggested to me. But when I looked into it, there is a good portion of people that have done it that didn't enjoy the process. So really, bringing it to market, I just kind of made the stuff. I put it on a website. I did kind of like a dry rollout, and did it to where people could pre-order it. That way I kind of knew how many people were going to be interested based off of, how many people bought the pre-orders. I print everything in the office you see here. So it's not like I get a third party to print me out the cards, although the boxes are professionally printed and the game board is professionally printed. But bringing it to market was a unique experience that I probably have had way different than anybody else who has brought a game to market. Like I said, it didn't really start out with the intentions of bringing it to market. So I kind of just felt things out. I built my own website for the very first time. So, a lot of this was a very unique learning experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of worked out for me. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
And so, with this game, would you, if you don't mind, would you like to give a brief synopsis on how this game is played?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of games using dice have what's called a 50-50 system. So you roll the dice and you either get a batter or a pitcher's card. I kind of wanted to deviate from that. What I did was create what's called a confrontation roll, and that will actually give you an idea of whether or not the batter or the pitcher has the advantage. And that's using, of course, the ratings and attributes that are based on the front of the card. Once you roll out the confrontation roll, you get to choose, or you don't get to choose, but it's dictated to whether or not you're going to be using the batter's card who has the advantage or the pitcher's card who gets the advantage. Once you find out which card you're using, all the results are based off of a matrix. So you're using two dice. They're both D10 dice, so they're numbered from 1 to 10. And it's a red and a blue one. You roll those out, and then there's a matrix grid that you go down for like the blue number, the red number, and then you get your result. From there, there's other mechanics depending on what the outcome is. So if you roll a ground out, you're going to roll on a chart one more column and see where the ball went to, whether it went to the shortstop or the second baseman. And all those charts are unique to the player. So every different player in the game is going to have unique outcomes on their card. The out chart where you're finding where that ground ball went is going to be based on a spray chart. So if the guy pulls the ball more than he, hits to the opposite field or anything like that, that's all represented in the card and based on that player. And then, from there, it's just a couple of rolls. A lot of people like to judge, the value of a game on how many rolls you have to do before you get an outcome. And on average, it's about 2 rolls in this game, which is, pretty good compared to some of the other ones where you have to look at a lot of external charts to get the roll. But that's kind of like a basic breakdown. It usually takes like the confrontation roll and then the 2 dice to kind of get the outcome.
And besides aspects about baseball, do you personally think anyone can learn anything else from this, or it's just mainly for fun?
It started out as mainly for fun, but I've actually had 2 different teachers actually purchase the game, and they use it for after school curriculum. And they've actually helped students kind of learn budgeting because there's a value system that's used for each player in the game. And they could build teams and they can use budgets to base on how many credits they're going to earn during the season. And they could, refill their roster using those credits, budgeting out certain things. And then also the other teacher I have, he actually uses the grid and percentage system to teach percentages for his after school. Not that it hasn't made it into the core curriculum in a school, which I don't think it ever will, because it is basically a game.
Right.
But the fact that these teachers are actually using it after school is pretty remarkable, that they're actually able to use it as a teaching tool and actually, give the students some fun while they're learning those things. So I thought that was pretty incredible. And there's also a retirement community in South Florida where I think 6 to 8 residents of that community are actually involved in the league, and actually kind of, it helps strengthen their abilities mind wise, as far as like maintaining the teams and everything like that. So that person reached out to me, and I think he started out the league. He works in the community. He's not actually a resident, and he uses it for that purpose, which is great also.
Okay. And then let's see what else. So for people that are out there watching, if they wanted to purchase this game, where can they do that?
Sure. It's available anywhere there's internet, and it's on deckbaseballgame.com. That is the game's main website, and there's several links there. There's links about the game, a little synopsis of how it's played. You can actually take a view at some of the different players, some of the different teams that are involved in the league that's offered within the game. And everything is there available for purchase. There's season 1 and season 2 are now available. So if you play out season 1 and you want to evolve into your season 2, that's available also. Season 3 is in the works. I'm trying to release a new season twice a year, so you can actually get it faster than the standard games of like Stratomatic, who obviously have to wait for the MLB season to be over to release a new game. So it's a little bit faster in that aspect. But yeah, everything's available on that site.
All right, and then since we're all this talk about baseball, and I'm seeing the Yankees cap that you're wearing, do you have a favorite baseball team? Is that the one or someone else?
Yeah, I'm all Yankees. I'm originally from New York, moved down to Florida in around 99. So I, got to experience a lot of that Yankees dynasty in the mid to late 90s, which was great.
Okay.
But yeah, all Yankees. But I'm also I'm a huge baseball fan in general, so I can appreciate everything from every team. I used to take a trip to Cooperstown like once a summer. So I just love the history of the game and everything like that. So, but yeah, I'm rooting for Yankees this year.
I know, being from Pittsburgh, you got to go with the Pirates, even though they lose the majority of the time. But that's okay. At least for me, every Pirates game I've gone to, they've lost. I don't know. Maybe just something with that. But well,
They've had a good team in the 90s, and they let some players get away, and it seems like the good ones they just can't hold on to, which is unfortunate for a lot of small market teams. But it's exciting to see teams like that play.
Definitely. And Ian, before we wrap up this interview, do you have any final words you would like to mention?
I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on the show, and wanted to thank everybody out there that gave this small game a chance. It's exciting to see, new purchases coming in every day. It's a little hard to keep up with, but that's the name of the game, and I'm okay with that. But thank you everybody for giving it a chance.
All right, well, Ian, thank you very much. Like Ian said, you can definitely go look at his game on his website, purchase it if you are interested. Definitely sounds like a lot of fun. And I know normally I'm not a huge sports fan, but seeing, because I believe Gary and some other people, we have your game down in our station. So
Yeah,
whenever we get bored, we pull it out.
that's awesome. That's great.
Oh,
Yeah, he purchased it a couple weeks ago, and he was talking to me about it. So that's exciting.
all right, we will wrap up this interview again. Thank you for your time and coming on to talk about it. And best of luck to you as time goes on. As I say, everything sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me today.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.